Hello and welcome to Gardening Jeans. I thought today might be fun to take another look at the front yard garden just because everything has really grown in now and we've got a lot of things in bloom. This is a shade garden. The house faces directly north and we also have a very, very large pin oak that shades everything. We get a little bit of sun in here and just a little bit in the morning because we also have very large trees that flank the side of the property, which I think you can see here. So there's dappled sunshine that comes in for the first couple of hours of the day, and that is it. But plants are thriving here, doing extremely well. I've showed you some of these things before. We've got a beautiful viridis Japanese maple on the corner and a very, very large viburnum. This is a summer snowflake viburnum. It already has had its first set of spring blooms and now it is creating some lovely berries. But this will very soon start popping out more blooms for the summer. And below we have the lily of the valley, which I've included in a video that is called Plants I Wish I Never Planted. Now as we come around the corner, there's some nice hosta in the understory, or I guess on the ground floor. And there is a very lovely Nico blue hydrangea here. Now the Nico blue is a macrophylla or big leaf type hydrangea. And it is one that blooms only on old wood. And the fact that it is so covered in blooms is a testament to what a mild winter we had this year. And then across from it is a Ruby Falls redbud, which I absolutely love. That pretty purple leaf color. Now there are leaf blowers going at the neighbor's house and I hope that they aren't going to disturb the audio on this video too much. But I've showed you some of these hosta before. I don't have wonderful luck with all kinds of heuchera. However, this guy has been here for years. And we have a really lovely royal fern tucked in here, which is so delicate and pretty. Next to the wee hosta and the June. Another heuchera in here. This is a purple palace. And of course, the Siberian iris does really, really well here in the shade, blooms beautifully, but it is one that reseeds itself all over the place, and I'm constantly pulling up little Siberian iris. And then this is a compacta ilex, or holly. Also is doing very well in the shade. And here is one of the shade window boxes. And I did a little video on what I put in there, and I think I'll show you that right now. Today I'm going to get some window boxes planted. There's actually 4 of them there. It's in an area that is on the north side of the house, gets literally no direct sunlight, so I have to worry about things that are very, very shade tolerant. What I'm going to put in there is some tuberous begonias, some dragonwing begonias. But the things that are probably notable are the fact that some of these plants are plants that I overwintered, annuals that I overwintered. So these vinca were actually in my annual planters last year. I dug them out, cut them back to literally nothing, and this is how much they grew out over the winter. I'm also going to add a couple of spider plants. I grew these from cuttings over the winter. And I think that they'll add a nice texture to it. On the other side of the walkway We have got some Hydrangea. This is the, oh, I always forget the name. It's the purple, purple variety. And then beyond that are some other ilex. These are gold Hellerise. And I absolutely love this astilbe. This is a big stand of the astilbe chinensis called Visions in White. And I really think this is a pretty one. Lasts for a very long time. Swinging around to the other side, there's a little bit more June hosta here. This was an astilbe called Peach, and it is already finished, but I'm going to leave the blooms up there, leave the seed heads up there, because I think they still look very, very nice. And a couple of containers here. Now I have a really, really bad deer problem here, so I have to be very, very careful about what I put in my containers. I use deer spray weekly, but what I did put in this one is the alyssum, which the deer don't tend to touch. This is a snow princess, and even though it's not bright sunlight, it doesn't bloom quite as prolifically as it would in full sun, but it still blooms. Now I'm taking a chance by putting coleus in here. They do eat coleus, but we'll see what happens. And there's some lamium on the ground and some more peach astilbe. And then this is a heuchera that I have a lot of luck with. This one is called Purple Palace. And there's a little fire and ice hosta tucked in there. And here's a blue angel hosta, and this one is 3 feet high by 6 feet wide. And another planter. And this one has got a purple Dracaena in the middle. It has the Snow Princess alyssum, and it has dichondra in it. And so far, nobody has touched this. I used to love to put all kinds of colorful begonias out here. And then a couple of years ago, every begonia eaten down to the nubs the first night that I had them in. And I said, you know, I've got to give up on this. So now I'm trying to go for things that are mostly deer resistant. Now this is one of the little native heucheras or coral bells. You can see it's just about done flowering, but it's got a few flowers left on it. No one's ever touched this one, I'm glad to say. And then as we move away from that, we've got another nice planter. And again, I'm taking a chance with the coleus and also with the impatiens. The deer will just eat the impatiens down to nothing. But the other plant that is in here is Plectranthus, and that is what the trailing vine is. Plectranthus has an extremely strong scent, and I'm hoping between the deer spray and the scent of the Plectranthus that they might decide it's not very edible. On the other side of the walkway, we have our lovely, very mature, very large lion's mane maple. And then we do have some daylilies here, and this is the Stelladoro daylilies. They seem to do fine in part sun conditions, and as you can see, they are blooming. Now I've been putting deer spray down every week on those, on the hosta, you know, on just about everything, except things like the variegated boxwood here. The deer do not touch the boxwood. However, we are supposed to get a day and a half of rain coming up, and the deer have already nibbled on this even with the deer spray, and I'm trying to enjoy it now because I have a very strong feeling that every bud and bloom is going to be gone by the time the rain is done, because that does tend to wash away or at least dissipate most of the deer spray. And there is not a single spray I've tried yet that doesn't seem to have that problem. And they love daylily buds. This is sensitive fern, and you can see in my yard everything is large because they've been in there for years. And another pretty planter. And then as we come around the corner, you can see that there was some more of the Siberian iris. And here is a very, very pretty Japanese painted fern. And some more Astilbe, and I believe this one is Visions in Pink. Behind it is a Coast Lakothaway. Now the next plant around the corner is a Connecticut slate dwarf white pine, and even though it is a dwarf, it's been in here for probably close to 15 years now, and it's now a good 7 feet tall. Next to that is the rainbow Lakothaway, which I really, really like. It has a very, very pretty color on the new growth coming out. And then we move on to an endless summer hydrangea. This one is called Blushing Bride, and I've had wonderful luck with this one. It's called Blushing Bride because it does blush, in this case because we have acid soil, with blue. And if you had basic soil or alkaline soil, it would blush pink. But this has been a very, very reliable hydrangea for me. And it is shaded by, as you can see, a little Japanese maple and then a very, very large golden arborvitae. Now this arborvitae has been limbed up to the point that nothing really touches the bottom limbs. We've limbed it up probably a good 8 feet. Otherwise the deer would be eating it. And this is regular endless summer, and you can see it is covered in blooms this year. I don't think we had a single bit of dieback on any of these hydrangea. And that color is just spectacular. Probably the last plant that I'd like to show you on this little tour is the Itea. But you can see it is covered with these lovely white bottle brush looking flowers. The part of the garden that runs along the driveway is also a shade garden, and we have got some candy corn spirea here, as well as Japanese forest grass. This is a Konaklo all gold, and this is one of my favorites. Here are some more shady characters, some more Astilbe. This one was labeled as Maggie Daly, although I'm questioning whether they're all Maggie Daly, because they do look, at least the ones in the center, look a little bit different than the others. I'll have to do a little research on that. Now let's take a walk up to the front porch because I have something fun to show you. So I have these tall blue planters in front of my front door, and I always put some lovely begonias in them. But for the winter time, I leave them here, and I do put a piece of slate over the top so no water gets into them. It's under a porch, but you never know. But this year, I went to move the slate and realized that there was someone in here. And this is a very interesting little nest. There was a Carolina wren with 4 eggs in here, and I didn't want to disturb it, so I left it be. And the babies have now fledged, and I can now put the plant in there. But it was really fun seeing this bird and watching right out of the windows outside of the door here on the other side of the front door, watching the parents coming back and forth and feeding the babies. But what a crazy place to put your nest. Well, that's the end of our front walkway tour. Thank you for joining me today on Gardening Jeans. We'll see you next time.